Hi guys. The other day I talked about doing some flower dissections of some unusual flowers that I have in my yard. I brought a sprig of the rosemary with a flower on it. Focus it. Which is a bush in eye shot here, but you can't see it. And I also trimmed a sprig of this vine behind me because I had shown you how the other day in a video how unusual these flowers were. These are attached. Two different types of things that are attached to the same stem, but one doesn't turn into the other. They're two different things, and I need to learn more about that. I haven't done my research yet. And finally, I have this bush here. Wish I remembered some of these names, but that's all right. Here are what the flowers look like on this bush. I want to do some exploring about what parts I could find, and I thought I brought a clipboard and I brought a marker and some tape, and I thought that I could tape them to this paper and we could identify them together. So today we're doing flower dissection. I labeled the top of my paper, and I'm going to do some picking apart of these different things. This one's been really fascinating to me. Let's start with this. I see some petals here, what I believe to be petals. The white ones also look like petals, so I'm going to tape one of each of these, or I could do more than one. That one just tore a little bit. Okay, I'll tape these to my paper, and I'm going to label those petals. Do you remember what it's called? All of the petals together that go around the flower. Ooh. If there were 3, let's say, or even if there are 2, but normally there are about 3. That's called the corolla. Do you remember that? Okay, I'm going to tape these petals here. And maybe let's use a white one as an example of the corolla. Oops. The flower taped sideways, so you can't see the corolla going all the way around. But I'm going to draw a little arrow and write corolla. And I'll write petals all around. All right. Let's see, what else do we have here? So these in the center, those look like there are 3 pistils on one flower. I have one sprig where I'd pulled the petals off, so I'm going to pull that whole thing off, and I'm going to say pistils with an S, plural, because it seems that there are more than one pistil on this type of flower. All right, now we have the white ones, and I'm wondering if other aspects of the flower that we haven't found on the purple are found on the white flowers. So we have these little purple bits here. Boy, I can't even see. Might need a microscope. They almost look like inner petals. I'm sure it's going to be too blurry for you. These teeny tiny little things. I'm going to pull those off and see what's inside. Oof, I think I need glasses. Inside there's a teeny tiny bit sticking up. I wonder if those could be the stamen with the pollen on them. I need a magnifying glass. I'm going to make a guess that is where you find the stamen on this flower. But after this lesson, I'm going to do some research and see if I can find out more information about this type of plant. So I'm actually going to write stamen with a question mark to say, I'm not sure. Are the stamen in there in the middle of that part next to those white petals? Maybe I'll draw an arrow to the purple petals and the arrow to the white petals, so I know those are all petals. Now, I don't see any other parts on these flowers. I don't see the ovary, I can't see it. I don't see any tepals or anything like that, so I think we're done with this type of flower. I'm going to draw a little line on my paper to keep that flower separate. Now let's try the rosemary flower. I can see I can see the calyx on this one. There's some empty calyxes, those green bits there. I wonder if I can get it to focus. And then here are calyxes right there on the outside of those petals. So I'm going to pull an empty calyx off and go ahead and label calyx there. And I know that these are called a rosemary flower. I'll have to find out the names of the others. Calyx. Remember how to write calyx? All right, let's see what else we've got. I see the petals. So they're so teeny tiny. I'm going to pull a petal off there and label that. You can also draw these with colored pencils or even watercolors. You can illustrate them. But for now I'm using tape, which works too. Now on this one you can really see the stamen. I see that this one here must be the pistil, because these other little ones have little tiny anthers. Those stamen have an anther at the end. On lilies, it's really clear. That's that sort of brownish part at the end that's covered with the pollen. And oftentimes there's more than one of them. So it's really delicate and teeny tiny. I could be using some tweezers to make it easier. But here are the stamen. I wonder if I can get it to focus. And I think the pistil's resting on my other finger next to this petal here. So this, there's the, here we go. Can you see it? A little hard to focus, it's too blurry, but here I'm separating them. This is the stamen, this is the pistil, and I'm gonna label those. On your own specimen, it'll be a lot easier, but I'm just mostly reminding you the sequence of how you can do this. So stamen, pistil, I've labeled those, and I'm going to label the anther with a little arrow. The anther is where you find the pollen. I wrote pollen is found there, the tip of the stamen. I don't see any other parts on the rosemary flower that I can tell. I wonder if the ovary could be, oh wait. I think I found some ovules right there in the, oh yeah, oh cool. I hope you guys have one of these at home. If I pull apart the calyx, I know you can't see, but just remember the process. Look in there, ooh, blurry. Do you see that? I think that's the ovary there. There's two bits to it. And inside those will be where the ovules are, I think. That should be where they were if I'm correct in what I'm identifying. So I'm going to try labeling that. The ovary and the ovules. Maybe if you have rosemary in your yard, you could check. And the ovules I'm not going to label because I don't have an exact teeny tiny ovule to stick on my paper. So for me, I'm actually not going to label that part. All right, one more flower we have here. Here it is. It's a really fragrant bush behind me. It has an unusual smell. And I got these at a nursery by my house that sells things on discount, especially when they don't label what they're called, and that was one of those times. I can see pollen on this petal. You probably can't see it. The pollen's just falling out onto this petal. Behind the petal, I do see a little calyx there, behind there. So I'll label the calyx on that one. And the petals. I'm going to stick it together because it's so small, but ooh, if I open it up, that's when I see all the other parts. Oh, this is really nice. You can see a lot of stamen with little anthers, and you can see that curled one. There's the pistil. I really want to have a magnifying glass. You should use one when you do yours. But I'm going to have to label these sort of all at the same time because it's so teeny tiny that it's hard to do it in small increments. Oops, and it's so delicate that I started accidentally ripping off the pistil. I'll do my best to just label it. Petal. There's the calyx. So the sort of stem part of the stamen is called the style. I didn't write that down because I don't have enough space. But I did a quick labeling of those parts, and before I stop, let me just see if I can find an ovule on here. I don't know if you could call this a corolla. A corolla is much more obvious and round, kind of like what we're talking about with this one, when all the petals go around a central point. With this and with the rosemary, I'm not quite sure if there really is an obvious corolla. I'm going to look in here and see if I can find any ovules. Marley, do you think that this is... Can you see any ovules? My eyes are not very clear. Do you think there's an ovary there or no? No. No ovary. We can't find the ovary. All right, good enough.
Here's an egg.
Ah, thank you. So we dissected 3 flowers that were unusual. They were a little tricky because they don't have the parts that we expect. I'm going to keep exploring my yard and see if I find any other flowers that would be interesting to check out. And you can explore your yard and see, do you have flowers with unusual numbers of parts or different sorts of parts? And then you can share them with us. Have fun. I can't wait to see what you do.